Good evening. Today our topic is buffer overflow attack. The buffer overflow attack is one of the most common and dangerous security vulnerabilities in computer system. It occurs when program is writes more data into buffer than it can hold. This extra data can be overwrite the adjacent memory location, leading the unexpected behavior, system crashes, and execution of malicious code. So what is the buffer? A buffer is a temporary memory location used to store a data while it is being transferred for the process by the computer system. It acts as an intermediate storage area between the different between the components such as the processor, memory, input and output devices. Buffer helps in the managing data efficiently by holding it until the system is ready to use it. For example, when the user types data using the keyboard, the input first stored as the input buffer before the program reads it. Similarly, when data is read from file or received from the network, it is stored in the buffer before the processing. In programming language like C and C++, characters arrays are commonly used in the buffer. The buffer also used in the stack memory to store the local variables, function parameters, and return to the addresses. Since buffer various pixel sizes, they can store the only limited amount of the data. If for more data than the located size of the storage, it may lead to buffer overflow the problem. Therefore, proper buffer management is a very important for the smooth, secure function computer system. What is a buffer overflow? The buffer overflow happens when program stores more data in buffer than it is allocated size. Since every buffer has a fixed amount of memory, it can hold only limited quantity of data. When this limits exceeds, the extra data flow into the nearby memory location are not meant to store it. As a result, important memory areas such as variables, functions, pointers, a return to addresses may get overwritten. This can be changed in the normal behavior program and may cause errors. Unexpected results are system crashes. In serious cases, attackers can initially use buffer overflow, insert the malicious codes, and control the system. Buffer overflow usually occurs due to the programming practices such not checking the input size properly or using the unsafe input functions. Therefore, programs must carefully manage the memory and validate the user input to prevent the security programs. Types of buffer flow overflow attacks are stack-based attacks. This is stack-based buffer attack occurs in the stack memory, which is used to store function calls and local variables, parameters, and return the addresses where program writes more data into the stack buffer than it can hold. It can extra the overwrite the nearby memory location or stack. In this type of attack, attacks mainly target into the return addresses by the function of overwritten. This is returns to address of malicious addresses. They can control the flow of the programming execution. When the function finishes instead of the returning an original locations, this program jumps into attacker's code. The allow attackers to run unauthorized programs and gain the control over the system. Heap-based buffer overflow. Heap-based buffer overflow occurs in heap memory, which is used to dynamic memory allocation during the program execution. The heap stores data that is created using the functions of the malloc, cloc, and new. In this attack, when more data is written into heap buffer than is allocated size, the extra data overwrites the adjacent memory blocks. This can corrupt important data structure pointers and control information stored in the heap. Example buffer flow overflow. C program. How attacks exploitation buffer overflow. Attacks buffer overflow vulnerabilities by the deliberately provides very large or specially crafted input the data of programming. This excess input exceeds buffer storage capacity and overflow the nearby memory location. As a result, the important memory areas such as variables, functions, pointers, and addressing may be written. Prevention techniques. Prevention buffer overflow attacks programmers should be safe input the functions and limit the data into buffer. For example, function like a fgets or scanf with proper format specifiers should be used instead of the unsafe functions like gets. The safe function helps to ensure that does not exceed the buffer size. Conclusion. The buffer overflow attacks are serious threats caused improper and memory handling. Secure the coding practices significantly these risks.